Hi everyone, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm excited to talk to you about a fragrance that I think is modern, sophisticated, gentlemanly, and attention-grabbing. Stay tuned to find out more. The fragrance I'm going to talk to you about in this video is from a brand that I feel has a good lineup of these sort of easy to wear, mass appealing, high quality but sophisticated, gentlemanly fragrances. The brand is House of Sillage and the fragrance that I'm talking about in this video is called The Contemporary. The notes in this one are sage, cardamom, fruity notes, pink peppercorn, nutmeg, plum, cinnamon, cedarwood, amber and animalic notes. Sexy sophistication is what I'm going with. For full transparency, House of Sillage are sponsoring this video. I'm pleased to be working with them because I've loved their fragrances for a long time. I first discovered them in 2017 when I started this channel. I mention this all the time, but I love House of Sillage #1, probably still my favorite from the house and really the first gourmand fragrance that I smelled. It's this cherry, almondy, boozy scent, so wearable and super addictive. I think it was also one of the first bottles that just blew my mind because it was so different. As you can see with this one, we have the click mechanism. It looks a little bit like a hip flask. It's got that kind of thing going on. So that fragrance has been in lots of my lists and top 10 videos. I really enjoy it. But what they do, aside from #1, they have a range of fragrances that I think are very mass appealing, crowd pleasing, easy to wear, but really high quality, masculine, gentlemanly sorts of fragrances that are refined and sophisticated. And this one, The Contemporary, falls into the category of those fragrances. We've got other ones like #4, which I've recently talked about, the classic, the formal, even the Batman. These are all very gentlemanly, sophisticated fragrances. When niche brands create these very mass appealing, crowd pleasing sorts of fragrances that are very easy to wear, we often refer to them as designer-like scents, but there's no rule that says niche fragrances should be more creative, more risk-taking, more divisive, more challenging. That is one thing that niche brands do very well, but there are plenty of niche brands that create these very mass-appealing, easy-to-wear fragrances. They make fragrances that we don't have to think that much before applying them. We know they're going to work in most situations, most times of year, most scenarios that we'll find ourselves in. I certainly find that with the House of Sillage fragrances I've talked about recently, #4, the Batman, and now the Contemporary. These are scents that will work in these formal occasion, these event situations, but I could easily just wear them casually as well. Super versatile. All right, let's focus in on the Contemporary a little bit. First of all, look at the bottle. Blue is my favorite color. The blue and the gold I just think work really well. So out of the fragrances that I've mentioned recently, I think this is my favorite color combination. I love the gold with the blue. I just think it looks super classy. As with all the other House of Sillage fragrances, we have this hip flask style bottle design. This doesn't mean that they've all got boozy notes in them. Most of them don't, but they've got this aesthetic that I think just works really well. It's unique, it's different, and I just always find it so satisfying to click this open and push it back. It doesn't take much to satisfy me. So when I first spray on the Contemporary, the first thing that I get is this beautifully smooth, slightly sweet scent, like super smooth. There's also a fresh spiciness and a warm, spicy quality, both at the same time. They're contrasting. The pink peppercorn note is just making this super punchy. It really jumps off the skin and carries these beautifully smooth, fruity notes into the air. I describe the overall scent of this as a spicy fragrance. I know that plum is sitting there right in the middle of the note breakdown, but I don't get a massive amount of plum. It's just there kicking around in the background, but it's not a plum dominant fragrance. I don't feel like the fragrance is built around the plum. I think it's built around the spices. The other aspect of the note breakdown that I should probably mention, just in case some people may be concerned, is the animalic accords. Sometimes with animalic notes we can get something that is a bit more divisive, that is funky, barnyardy, sometimes even fecal, dare I say it, but this doesn't really have any of that. I don't get anything really that animalic at all, really. What I think these animalic accords might be doing is just providing just some impact, some strength, some depth to the scent. So if you're worried about funky animalic notes, you don't need to worry with this one. Some niche perfumery can be a little more challenging, a little more divisive, the kind of thing that maybe your wife or your girlfriend doesn't really enjoy, because whilst we love, as fragrance fanatics, we love complex, slightly more challenging fragrances because we're looking for that stimulation every time, that new thing, something bold, something different, something unique. But the reality of it is that people who aren't fragrance fanatics, which is probably most of the people that are around us in our day-to-day lives, they're not really into those sorts of scents. I've tried it and it doesn't really work that well. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for wearing a fragrance just for me, something that pleases me, and I'm not bothered about anyone else around me. There are times when I'm in the mood to go for something like that, but let's face it, in our lives there are a lot of times when we are considering those around us. Maybe we're going out with our family, maybe we're going in a situation where there's a lot of people, perhaps a train or a plane, lots of people in close proximity, and you don't want to be that guy that's gassing everyone out with your cologne. I've done it, I've been there. I was on the train recently wearing something really strong and someone was sat within inches from me on the seat next to me, and I admit I'd oversprayed my fragrance and I was feeling a little bit self-conscious that she perhaps wasn't enjoying sitting next to me. So we do have to consider people around us from time to time. House of Sillage fragrances, I feel, bear that in mind. They are fragrances that you don't have to think about, oh, is this going to be appropriate for where I am, because they're always going to be appropriate. They're just engineered to not offend, and I find the Contemporary is just a great example of that. Let's talk about the name of this fragrance, the Contemporary. So that implies that it is something new and modern. We get that. It is quite a modern smell, but there's also a little bit of something in here that makes me think about some of those 90s classics from brands like Gucci. There isn't anything in particular that this specifically it reminds me of, but it's just got that kind of vibe to it. Sort of classic, although I would say more modern classic, not super vintage classic, mixed with a sweetness and a fruitiness and a spiciness that I think is really modern. So it's ticking a few boxes. So I've mentioned that it is versatile, that you could wear it as a casual scent, you could wear it as a formal scent. I think this really works well as a date night fragrance. There's a smoothness to it, there's a sweetness, the fruitiness. It's not a really loud fragrance, and I think that would be perfect for a slightly more intimate date night situation. It projects fine, there's no problem with the performance. I just think the profile of this scent has a smooth, sensual quality. For me, it would just work really well on a date night. So maybe it's a date night where you want to smell sensual, you want to please your date, but you also want to smell clean, well put together, sophisticated, and a little bit of sexy spicy. Yeah, the Contemporary is a fragrance I would choose to wear. As I just mentioned, performance is really good for me. It's not a beast mode fragrance, but it is projecting nicely, I feel, and for the whole time I'm wearing this, 8 to 10 hours, I feel like I'm getting lovely wafts. Good performance, pretty versatile. This is the sort of fragrance that people will enjoy, even people who aren't into fragrances. As I've mentioned, this is something that will please, I think, most people, and that will probably lead to some compliments. It's that sort of fragrance that most people will enjoy. If you were looking to purchase this fragrance, they are a US brand, so the best place to purchase them from, I believe, is their website. If you are visiting their website and you do want to make a purchase, please make sure that you use this discount code TAKE15, and you're going to get a nice little bit of discount off the price of this fragrance. So just to sum all that up, it looks great, it smells great, versatility is great. People around you will probably think it smells pretty great. So for me, this is a great fragrance. Are you familiar with this fragrance from House of Sillage? If you are, I would love to hear from you, because I think it's a fragrance that's hard not to like, really. There's nothing in here that's going to offend anybody or that really will put anyone off from wearing it. If anyone does level criticism at this fragrance, it's maybe going to be because personally they feel they want something maybe a little more complex, a little more challenging, and that's absolutely fine. There is a place for those fragrances. I love those sorts of fragrances. But if you're looking for something versatile, easy to wear, easy to please those around you, then this fragrance does all that for me. I hope you found this video useful. Hope you liked it. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.